Hello and welcome to the show that's contractually obligated to remind you this is, in fact, the year 2025, as in 2025. Which I know sounds like a year we just made up because we ran out of Back to the Future sequels to steal from, but here we are. And in the spirit of confronting this terrifying reality, tonight we're diving headfirst into the murky waters of expat regret. Because let's face it, the shimmering Instagram filters of living your best life abroad can sometimes obscure the grittier reality. We're talking about those moments when the novelty wears off, the language barrier feels more like a brick wall, and you find yourself desperately Googling how to cancel one-way ticket, asking for a friend. So buckle up, grab your passport, and maybe a tissue, as we count down the top 10 countries leaving expats with a serious case of the "what have I done with my life's?" Kicking off our list at number 10 is Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is undeniably gorgeous. We're talking emerald rice paddies, bustling night markets, and enough delicious pho to satisfy even the most insatiable noodle enthusiast. But beneath the surface of this Southeast Asian gem lies a darker underbelly of expat woes. Crime, particularly in urban areas, has left some expats feeling unsafe, while environmental concerns like pollution and littering can put a damper on the idyllic scenery. And let's not forget the language barrier, which can make even the simplest tasks feel like an Olympic sport. Coming in at number 9 is Belarus, a country that seems determined to prove that geography isn't destiny. Because nestled between the EU and Russia, Belarus has somehow managed to inherit the worst of both worlds. We're talking a government that makes Putin look like a laid-back yoga instructor, an economy that's about as stable as a unicycle on a tightrope, and winters so brutal they make even penguins say, "Okay, that's a bit much." Add to that a distinct lack of warmth towards foreigners, and it's no wonder some expats are packing their bags and heading for sunnier and, frankly, less authoritarian pastures. At number 8 we have Mexico. Now look, I love Mexico, the food is incredible, the people are warm, and the beaches are basically nature's way of saying, come on, relax, you deserve it. But even paradise has its pitfalls. Safety concerns, particularly in certain border towns, have left some expats feeling vulnerable, while inconsistent healthcare quality can be a major source of anxiety. And let's not forget the ever-present language barrier, which, let's be honest, can make ordering a burrito an existential crisis if your Spanish is more Dora the Explorer and less Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Coming in at the surprisingly high ranking of number 7 is the United States of America. Yes, you heard that right. The land of the free, the home of the brave, and apparently, the breeding ground for a surprising amount of expat regret. Now I know what you're thinking. But John, America, the cheeseburgers, the national parks, the unfettered access to assault rifles. And yes, those are all things America has in abundance. But it also has a healthcare system that's more convoluted than a Christopher Nolan film, a work-life balance that's about as balanced as a seesaw with a rhino on one end and a hamster on the other, and let's not even get started on the current state of political discourse. At number 6 we have Japan, a country that's like a high-speed bullet train hurtling towards the future, powered by a potent mix of technological innovation and adorable cartoon characters. But hold on to your sushi, folks, because this ride isn't for the faint of heart. Japan's infamous work culture can turn even the most dedicated workaholic into a sleep-deprived zombie, while the language barrier can make social integration feel like trying to climb Mount Fuji with a pair of chopsticks. Coming in at the halfway point of our list at number 5 is China. Now China is a country of contradictions. It's a place where ancient temples sit in the shadow of futuristic skyscrapers, where you can order a plate of fried scorpions on your smartphone, and where the government simultaneously encourages economic growth and censors Winnie the Pooh. But for expats, navigating this complex cultural landscape can be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, blindfolded while riding a unicycle on the Great Wall. Sliding into the number 4 spot is France, a country that's synonymous with romance, fine dining, and a healthy dose of existential angst. But while Paris may be the city of love, it's also the city of oh my god, how much does a baguette cost? The high cost of living, particularly in major cities, has left many expats feeling financially squeezed, while the notoriously complex French bureaucracy can turn even the simplest administrative task into a Kafka-esque nightmare. At number 3 we have Brazil, a country that's basically a giant party disguised as a nation-state. We're talking samba rhythms, beaches that stretch on for days and enough caipirinhas to drown a small island. But even the most enthusiastic party animal needs a break sometimes, and that's where things can get tricky for expats in Brazil. Safety concerns, particularly in urban areas, have left some expats feeling on edge, while the country's economic instability can make planning for the future feel like a game of roulette. Coming in at a surprising number 2 is the United Kingdom. Now, the UK has a lot to offer. We're talking history, culture, and a sense of humor so dry it could soak up the entire English Channel. But lately it seems like even the Queen is considering packing her bags and heading for sunnier shores. Why? Well, for starters, the NHS, once the envy of the world, seems to be on life support itself. Add to that the rising cost of living, a political landscape that's more chaotic than a Boris Johnson haircut, and a general sense of post-Brexit malaise, and it's no wonder some expats are saying cheerio to the UK. And finally, claiming the dubious honor of our number 1 spot is Canada. Yes, Canada. The land of maple syrup, hockey, and apologies so sincere they could melt a glacier. But even this seemingly idyllic nation has its downsides, and for expats, those downsides can feel as vast as the Canadian wilderness. The immigration process, while famously welcoming, can be notoriously slow and bureaucratic, leaving some expats feeling like they've aged a decade just waiting for their paperwork to be processed. And then there's the weather. Look, I'm not saying Canadians are exaggerating when they talk about the cold, but I am saying that if you find yourself using a blowtorch to defrost your car keys in April, you might be living in a Coen Brothers movie. So, there you have it, the top 10 countries where expats are experiencing a serious case of buyer's remorse. Now, before you cancel your travel plans and vow to never leave the comfort of your couch again, it's important to note that experiences vary widely among individuals. While some may face challenges and regrets, others find fulfilling lives abroad, embracing the adventure and cultural immersion. Ultimately, the key takeaway here isn't to scare you off from exploring the world, but to encourage you to do your research, manage your expectations, and remember that sometimes, the grass isn't always greener on the other side of the passport control. It's more of a your mileage may vary situation, and if all else fails, there's always the option of moving back in with your parents. They'll be thrilled.